Hello everyone, and welcome to the implementation of sequential search lecture. So again, you can check out the previous video lecture for a full breakdown, but in this notebook all we're going to do is go ahead and implement sequential search for an unordered list and then adapt it to an ordered list. So let's go ahead and implement this. I'm going to go ahead and jump to a empty Jupyter notebook and start writing out my function for a sequential search. So first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and say def to start off our function, and we'll call this seq search. You can call it whatever you want. And it's going to take in two arguments, the array or that list that we actually are searching through, and then the element or item we want to find. I'll call them ARR and ELE respectively. So this is just going to work on unordered lists. So I'm going to go ahead and start at position 0. I'll create a variable called POS for position, start it at 0. And I'm going to create another variable called found. This one's just going to be a Boolean, and it's going to start off as false, and it's going to become true if we ever find the element in our list. So what we can just do is say while the position is less than the length of our array and not found, meaning we haven't found it yet, I can just say if the value of the array at that position is equal to the element, then we found it. So I can just say found is then true. Else, what we're going to do is just keep moving one down. So I'm just going to say that the position, add 1 to it. And this is the same as just saying POS equals POS plus 1. All right, and then once you're done with that while loop, you can just return the found element. So it's a pretty simple idea. Let's go ahead and make sure it works. I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then call sequential search, pass in the array, and let's say I'm going to search for 6. So you notice it'll return false, meaning we never found it. Let's go ahead and search for 3, and it returns true. Let's check it on the edges just to make sure it's working. 1 is true, perfect, and 5 is true. All right, so hopefully that should have been pretty logical. You're just going through every single element, so n items in that array, checking if it matches up to your target, and then changing that Boolean variable. But remember from the previous lecture, we said if we know a list is ordered, we only have to check until we have found the element or an element that can be greater than it. So what we're going to do is edit our code a bit so it's a little more efficient given that we know it's ordered. So I'm going to go ahead and recall this ordered sequential search. And again, we start at position 0. We still have the target, that found variable, which will become true if the element's in the list. But I'm also going to start a new variable called stopped. And I'll set that equal to false. That's basically going to be a stopped marker. And in this case, I'm going to say, while position is less than the length of the array, meaning we're still going through the array, and not found, we haven't found it yet, and not stopped. And that's going to come into play when we reach an element that's greater than our target element. Given that we know, we can even write it as a doc string here, input array must be ordered. Let's say ordered / sorted. Okay, so we have that as a check. So again, we're going to go see if we have a match. Else, what we're going to do is two things. We're going to say if the array value at that position, that element, is greater than the element itself, we'll just say stopped is equal to true, meaning we've already passed the limit, so we reached an element that was greater than our target element, so we're not going to continue going. Otherwise, we're going to move on. So then we'll actually say else and shift this code into that block. Okay, so we can go ahead and test this out. We're going to just say this is already a sorted array. Let's add a couple more items to it. So now it's 1 through 10. I'm going to do a sequential search, and that's true. Let's say 12, and that's false. So you can mess around with this. It should work because we basically just added this check here and the stopped variable. All right, so hopefully for you, sequential search, both the implementation and the theory around it, it's actually pretty basic. You're just going through that array and doing the most logical thing. You're checking every element if it's an unordered list. If you know the list is sorted or ordered beforehand, and let me change that to must. Sorry about that. So if it's ordered or sorted beforehand, you can just go ahead and add a stopped variable for it. Okay, that's all there is to it, and I will see you at the next lecture. Thanks, everyone.